How's everybody doing? Can can everybody hear the microphone here? Can everybody hear the audio? Does the video look good? Let's see here. Give me a second. Nico's here. Sandy from Missouri. All right, the only requirement when you enter here is you just have to type in the chat of where you're from. That's the only requirement to ask. There's no entry fee. Nico, can you hear the audio here on the microphone? You can see the video. Everything sounds and looks good? All right, Roger, that sounds good. All right, we got Nico, Sandy from Missouri. Paula says it's all right. And Miss Din, hello. Flying High, Southern California. Din, where are you from? Where are you from? Doesn't sound like South Carolina, where I'm from. All right. Sounds good. All right, so I was going to do this this YouTube live stream, and just it went well last week, and I figured I would do it again. And at the end of this, I'm going to try to send everybody over to a Zoom call, and we can do a meditation. I think I'm going to do one of the Dr. Joe's meditations if anybody wants to hang out for that. So no pressure. There's no laying down. It's just sitting down and meditating for 48 minutes. If you've never done it before, then just jump in and see what happens. But anyway, so that's what's going on. But I don't know. There's a lot of things we could talk about. If anybody has anything they want to talk about, let me know. Let's see. We've got 5 people. All right. So one thing that I could share with you about meditation is earlier today I was playing golf, and there was this guy out there on the golf course, and I promise this has something to do with meditation. I'm going to bring it back. But there's this guy on the golf course that was totally getting frustrated, and they paired me up with him. We were playing around, and I'm not that great of a golfer, but I enjoy going out and playing every once in a while. But this guy that they paired me up with, we went out there, and every ball he hit, he just got frustrated. He started yelling, screaming, throwing his clubs. I mean, not quite that dramatic, but it might as well have been. And so he was out there, and he was swinging the ball, missing the ball, hitting it in the trees, hitting it over there. And he wasn't that great. And but he believed that he should be hitting the ball up next to the hole every time. And I said, man, how long have you been playing for? And he goes, I've been playing for 23 years. I'm like, man, that's a long time to be that bad. But so I started asking him more. I was like, man, he's getting really frustrated, It's kind of depressing. But I said, well, how often do you play? And he's like, I play like once every 4 months. But I've been playing for 23 years. And I said, man, you can't, you don't have the right to get upset. You don't spend enough time here to get upset that your golf game's not any good. And, he's expecting to hit it like Tiger Woods, and he wasn't really that awful. He was just expecting to hit it 2 feet from the hole instead of, off the green by 30 yards or something, where I hit it. So it kind of reminded me, since doing these videos, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and talking to a lot of people that are frustrated with meditation. But I find that a lot of people seem to get frustrated with meditation, but yet they don't spend a lot of time meditating. They spend a lot more time they do it here and there, and they do it every once in a while, but they don't spend a lot of time doing it. So it's not fair to go out there and play golf and expect to hit it like Tiger Woods and have these amazing mystical shots, if you will, if you're only going to put in time of once every 4 months. So if you want those experiences within meditation that everybody hears about and talks about, and you're going to have to put in more time than you probably are right now, and just keep at it. As Dr. Joe Dispenza had said one time, you're just maybe not that good yet. And so you have to spend some time with it. It takes practice. It is a journey. And so anyway, that was something that I could kind of happened to me today that I thought that I would share. But all right, so Den's from New York. All right, cool. Now, there was something else this week that happened. I meditated every day. I did at least an hour. I don't know if you guys want to comment on how much you meditated this week or how often you do. That'd be fine. Just trying to get a little activity in there to get this video out there. But so I meditated every day this week, and I didn't really have anything crazy or bizarre that happened. You know, I meditated. You know, but I did go out to dinner with a friend, and I had like an unusual experience. Like, um, I went out to dinner with a friend, and this friend is I do real estate with every once in a while. It's a business colleague, I guess, but we're also friends. But we went out to dinner, and we started talking about meditation. She's into meditation, and she's into Dr. Joe's stuff, and she's seen some of my videos, and we reconnected through that. And so I was telling her about some of my experiences and just talking with her. So I was talking about this one meditation that I was in. She was that I made a video on it. It's called "In the Basement of My Soul." If you haven't seen that, maybe I'll put it in the description after this. You can go and click on it and see. But basically, in this meditation, I spent time what I believed to be was I was in the basement of my soul, and I was describing that to her, and it was. I was trying to describe it as best I could because this was a mystical experience. Sometimes it's really hard to put into words. And so as I was explaining it to her, I was saying I was down in the basement of my soul, and a family member was there, and basically while I was down there, I had an understanding. Me and this family member. I'll try to tell a short story of this video that I did. But while I was down there in the basement of my soul, there was a family member that I've struggled with for a long time with our relationship. But down there, as we were down there, I totally understood and got where that person stands and where I stand. And I probably knew it all along, but it's almost like I just experienced it on a different way to where it totally helped me get over our frustrations and our resentments towards each other. And as I was explaining this to her, I I totally just like broke down and just started crying. I don't cry. I'm not like a crier. I don't. I cry maybe every 12 years or something. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even really cry. I just kind of teared up, but I had this energy or this through my body. It almost felt like I just burped up. I don't mean to be gross, but like I burped up this just like it was this energy that came up. And I don't mean to be dramatic, or I don't like to get dramatic with talking about meditation stuff. I try to be realistic. But this experience happened over just like maybe a 15-second period, and it totally was like having a mystical experience, but I didn't have it during a meditation, which I normally would have them within a meditation. This was in like real life, like just talking at dinner. And I broke down and choked up all this. And I really felt like after going back and thinking about it, I went back and looked and kind of just thought about what happened. Like, that was kind of a weird, bizarre. I don't break down and cry in a restaurant. Like, that's not the thing to do. But as this energy came up, it just took me over really quickly, and I just kind of just shut down. And my friend saw what was happening, and she just, it didn't last long. I overcame it. I was sitting there going, "Oh Lord, God, got to get out of this." But I felt so much relief after that. And so I don't know for sure. I don't know what it is. It was just an experience that I had, but I feel like that just negative energy of all that stuff I'd been holding on to with that other family member, maybe not all of it, but a good portion of it just came up. It just felt like an energy vomit or an energy burp or something, because it came up and it came out fast. I had no control over it. And so it's kind of a bizarre experience with that. It was short and quick lived, but I felt like a weight was taken off of my shoulders after I left there. I felt like I just slept for 20 hours and woke up from the best sleep of my life. I was ready to go do a bunch of things. So it was a kind of a unique experience that I've had in my short-lived kind of meditation journey. I've been really only meditating what I call connecting with the meditation for almost about 13 months now. And so I have had a lot of experiences, and they all seem to be unique, and that was definitely one that was unique for me. So that was something that happened this week. And that was outside of the meditation. Normally that kind of thing happens with inside of the meditations, and I see insights and things like that. So anyway, that's yeah. I just thought I would share that. Is I don't know. Last time I talked for about an hour, I felt like I talked a little bit too much about myself. I've been on here for a little bit. Does anybody have any questions about meditation or frustrations about meditation or what they're trying to do? I figure I'll talk a little less about myself and try to answer some more questions. And since we're going to switch over to a Zoom call here in a little bit into a meditation, I don't want this to drag out for hours and hours. So, does anybody have any questions out there? I'm going to reach out to Nico first. Nico's got good questions. Mountain Dew's here from St. Louis. Got Imagine 7 generations. I got to make the screen bigger. All right, there was a woman. I can't pronounce her name. Wondering if your experience with Dr. Joe has impacted musically as a musician in what you choose to play and or write, and what you choose to listen to for pleasure. Leah from Vancouver, Canada. That is a good question. And if you put in some questions, I'll get to them here after this. But yeah, totally. Meditation has affected my music abilities, my opinions. I was living in Nashville up until about a week ago. I totally changed everything. I don't live in Nashville. I don't need to be there to do music. I thought I did for a period of time. But since I've grown from my old self to my new self through this journey of meditation, it took me a little while to realize that. And that's why I'm back. I'm back in South Carolina now. I love Nashville. It's a great city, and I've got some great friends there, but I don't have to be there to enjoy music. But yes, I do meditate. If I'm playing music, playing a gig, which is playing out at a bar or an event or a festival or something, then I'm definitely going to be meditating before it. I make sure that happens. It's just kind of like it takes your mind out of the equation. And I will say that I've tried to relate meditation type of experiences and meditating itself to something else out there in the real world type of thing. And the only thing that I've experienced that comes close to meditation is music. And I've had experiences in music that once I connected with the meditation, I went, oh, wow, that can be similar. That's comparable. I've had some wild journeys playing music, and I've done that my whole life. But yeah, I definitely meditate before performing live. I meditate before maybe going into the studio. And I will say it just kind of takes the mind out of the analytical part out of it. And I don't want to go in too deep about it, but being musicians, there's a lot of musicians that get a bad rap for doing drugs. And there is a lot of people that have done drugs over the years. I'm sure everybody knows of those types of musicians. But I do believe that they do all the drinking and the drugs and all that type of thing to be able to take their mind out of music. And that's when the best music by musicians is understood, is when you can connect with it and it's like an out-of-body experience. And so I'm really seeing a relationship between meditation and music that correlates. So, but yeah, meditation has helped me musically. What does it do exactly? It's just I get more creative. New ideas come out. If I meditate, the guys in my band will kind of go, "Man, what'd you do there? That's not like you." And I go, "Yeah, just doing some stuff and trying some new things out." It makes it easier, less stressful, just like anything else in life. Meditation does. So it definitely helps with the music. Let's see if that's. She said, as far as choose to listen to for pleasure, I don't know if it's changed the way that I enjoy listening to music, but I still like all the same things I've always liked. But it has helped me musically perform. And so I hope that answers the question from the woman in Canada. And all right. Do you have a favorite place to place your awareness? Okay, so I think that maybe what you're trying to get at is, where do I maybe focus my attention during a meditation? Is that right, Andrew? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Yes, you said during meditations. So my favorite place that, there's people out there that focus on a word or a sound or their breath. But the one thing that I do is I focus on my heart and the area around my heart. I don't put much attention there. It's very little attention. It's almost just like so little attention that it's barely any. It's just, if you watched one of my first videos when I described, like when I first connected with this meditation, I try to explain it a little bit in there, but I basically just, if you take the sense that you can feel at the end of your fingertip and you just place that on the area of your heart, I'm just thinking of that feeling that the skin from my finger and the skin from my chest is touching each other. And that's all the amount of thought that I give it. I don't sit in there and go, my heart, and it's big and all around my heart and all this. I don't get dramatic with it. I think if you kind of get dramatic like that with it, you're kind of disconnecting from it. You're trying to make something happen. But that's all the attention that I would give it, is just literally just kind of like, no big deal. Just thinking about right there. And that's all that I kind of pay attention to, and nothing else. And I kind of just drift off and kind of daydream. If as I've tried to explain to people, it's like, I don't know, this is what I did in school, but sometimes I just stare at the wall and just kind of zone out and your eyes kind of get blurry. That's kind of what I do when I just focus my attention right there. But that is my favorite place to focus my attention, which is on my heart. I will focus on other energy centers, our chakras, but that is probably my go-to most of the time. And as if anybody's followed me, I've mentioned before too that each time I focus on a different energy center or a chakra, my body does shake differently. And so I don't really know what that means, other than it's just probably just a different energy that I'm focusing on, and so my body does shake differently. Sandy says, does your mind wander during meditation? If so, how do you get it back? I definitely am not an analytical person, and I know that's not what you're asking, but I'm going to try to bring it back. I don't stress out about things too much, especially during a meditation. I do know that thoughts come up, and I personally don't believe that thoughts are bad. I think that they're supposed to come up. What you don't want to do is you don't want to engage with them. You don't want to try to control those thoughts. You want to just, they come up and they're just there. You don't want to like start going, all right, well, I'm thinking about my taxes tomorrow. I'm thinking about, I'm going to school. But if those thoughts come up, just don't wrestle with them. Don't engage with them. Don't try to keep going to the next scene in that story. Just, there they are, and just go back to kind of daydreaming. And if these thoughts come up, that this is a big one. If these thoughts come up of stuff that's very uncomfortable, which I talk to a lot of people, they're like, oh man, I started thinking about like my dad when I was a kid. He yelled at me, or something uncomfortable that they don't like. I personally think that that's what's supposed to come up. And most people abort from a meditation because they don't like what they're seeing. And but those things are supposed to happen. And when they do, again, just don't engage with them. That's when I believe you're starting to rewire your brain to be able to not go down that crappy thought pattern of thinking about reliving that experience again. So that's when your brain is starting to rewire itself. So when those thoughts come up, don't worry about it. Nothing's a big deal. Don't stress out about it. The worst thing you can do in a meditation is stress out about what's going on. Because I will say these meditations don't have anything to do with you. And if you think they do, then I think you're probably wrong. And I don't mean that to sound mean. I'm just stating that I think a lot of people believe that they have something to do with this meditation. No, you plug up the cell phone to the computer and then it does what it does. You don't really have, I don't know how that stuff works. You don't get to control that. You just have to just make sure you plug it up. And after that, it does its thing. And so if thoughts come up during that, just don't engage with them. If you're engaging with them, then you're probably stopping the process between the computer and the cell phone syncing up with each other. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I probably over-explained it a little bit. But let's see. Nico's got one. what does Dr. Joe mean when he says pull the mind out of the body? I will say sometimes Dr. Joe kind of says some things that could be a little vague. And you kind of go, I don't know what he's talking about there. But when he's talking about that, he's talking typically associating that with the breath work. And pulling the mind out of the body, the breath work is a strategy, in my opinion. He doesn't really say it like that, but that's what I've observed. And I think people feel like they have to do this in order to meditate. You don't have to do the breath work from Dr. Joe in order to meditate. They've been doing that for thousands of years without breath work. So now some people have, but there's been plenty of people that don't. It's a strategy that works for a lot of people. Some people it doesn't. So you don't have to do it. So when he's talking about the breath work, doing the breath work, that breath work is a strategy to pull the mind out of the body. And it's basically to help pull the analytical mind out of your body so you don't sit there and overthink and you don't wrestle with those thoughts. I feel like you kind of wear yourself out to where when those thoughts do come up, you don't wrestle or engage with them like I was talking about. Because I noticed that doing breath work is stressful on your body. It's almost kind of like a workout. It can be. It can feel like that. And I do feel like if I go and run, if I work out really hard, it's easy to connect with the meditation better. Or if I do it when, he talks about, and other people talk about doing meditation at 4:00 in the morning or really late. You're really tired. You're not going to wrestle with those thoughts. You kind of go, man, it's not worth it. You don't have the brain power to do it. So that's what the breath work is a strategy to help pull the mind out of the body so you don't wrestle with those thoughts and hold you back from plugging up the cell phone, connecting to the computer. I hope that makes sense. That's my opinion. Someone else may have something else to say about that, but that's what I believe, and I'm sticking to it. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Does your mind wander during meditation, and how do you get it back? Again, that's maybe, let's see, maybe you. So again, that's Sandy. That's when my mind wanders. It's okay. Just let it just kind of go, but whether the thoughts come up, don't engage with them. But if your mind wanders, don't try to force it back in. Don't try to pull it in on a leash and go, no, you're supposed to be over here. You're supposed to be over here. Just let it wander off and just do its thing. Get over yourself. This thing's got nothing to do with you. You can't control or design these meditations the way that you choose to see them. Because I will say that once you get into these meditations and you really get deep with them, you start having these experiences, you don't even know what you're looking for right now. You have no idea what you're looking for, because these are experiences that people talk about that cannot be related to anything that has ever happened since I've been alive. So you're looking and trying to design it in a way that you have no idea what it's supposed to look like. So if your mind wanders, just let it wander off. If the thoughts come up, just don't try to pull them in and say, no, you're supposed to be like this. With all due respect, you don't know what it's supposed to be like, because you probably haven't gotten that experience yet, and you probably haven't connected with the deep meditation. So I hope that makes sense. Not sure how to word this. I've been doing several different medications during the blessings of the centers. Have you ever asked center to show you what to work on, and does it? Not sure how to word this. I've been doing several different medications or meditations during the blessings of the centers. Have you ever asked center to show? Okay, I think if you want to rewrite it again, that's okay. But I think I know what you're saying. Do I ever ask for specific things to work on? Yeah, I kind of set an intention up front. And I don't think anyone has the one answer on how to do it. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's journey's different. How people connect with the meditation is different. Some people like doing the breath work and it works for them, and some people don't. Some people lay down, some people stand up. You have to kind of find what works for you. But for me, I just kind of set an intention up front, and then once I get into the meditation, I just let the whole thing just happen. I just let the whole thing go. So I don't go to an energy center. I just give it that attention. and I sit there and give it time to be able to give attention to that energy center or that chakra, I get out of the way of myself while I'm focusing my attention there. So I can kind of recharge up that battery is the best way that I could describe it. But I don't really go in with an agenda most of the times. I'll set an intention, kind of I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, and I'll spend a couple minutes up front doing that. But after that, I plug up the cell phone or the computer and I just let the ride happen. And so sometimes my mind wanders. I just let it wander off to where I don't, oh, there it goes. It's taken off. And sometimes these thoughts come up and it could be negative, bad thoughts that you go, they're not supposed to be there. Meditation is not always supposed to be just, pleasant and sitting by waterfalls with birds chirping. That's just not how it's supposed to be all the time. There's going to be bad stuff and bad thoughts and bad ideas and crappy thoughts that come up. And that's really a good thing. You want those things to come up. Just don't engage or wrestle with them. I hope that answers your question. Again, if you're coming into the channel, if you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, right now would be a good time to do it. And also, if you, the only requirement when you come in is you just have to type in where you're from. If you're from Southern California, Los Angeles, if you're from Israel, if you're from India or New York, just type in the chat of where you're from. And we're doing question and answer right now, in case you're just getting in. So if you have a question right now, would be a good time to ask it as well, too. Is it to get out of survival, which happens when the body has taken over and thinks that this is the mind? Yes, you're just making a statement. Yes. All right, got Kay from Chicago. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything that anybody would like to say? Or any people frustrated with meditation? Because I talk to a lot of people through Facebook and Instagram and through my videos that they seem to be struggling with meditations. I will say that, as I kind of mentioned a little bit ago, you kind of have to get over yourself and you got to quit making this about you. You don't get to design these meditations. You don't get to control how they go. You would like to, but that's just not how it happens. And, don't go into a meditation. When I talk to a lot of people and they tell me, well, I'm trying to I've got this disease I'm trying to heal and I want to manifest $1 million and then I've got to get a new car and I need like a new girlfriend or boyfriend, or they start listing off like 15 things that they're trying to bring into the meditation. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do this thing, and I don't think any one person has the answer because there's so much mystery to it. But I will say that with going into it, if you're struggling with meditation, just go into the meditation and spend time saying, I'm just going to focus on trying to connect with the meditation and go into that deep meditation where you just focus on, your heart's chakra, or you focus on that word or that mantra or the sound or your breath, and just go into meditations for a week, 2, 3, 4, a month, and start just doing that. Don't go in there trying to bring all your garbage with you and try to fix everything during one meditation. Meditation, I've definitely noticed there's some things that could change really quickly, but a lot of it it's a slow roll. You're building a house one brick at a time every time you're meditating. You may not see big changes on the things that you want to see right away, but over time, a month, 3 months, 6 months, it's like a frog in boiling water. You don't really notice that it's getting hot over time. But once you get 6 months down the road and you look back and you go, well, this house is looking pretty good. You've stacked all these bricks up. So once you get down the road and do that, 6 months down and look back and you say, well, this house is looking good. I'm going to keep doing this, I'm interested to see where this is going to end up. So get over yourself and quit making it about you. Just spend time connecting with the meditation. And that should just be your goal. Just break it down very simple. Like, I'm just going to focus on this area. Whatever happens after that, hey, whatever happens. But don't try to bring in 10, 15 different problems that you have and say you're going to fix it in one meditation when you can't even, when you're, I don't want to say you can't connect with it, but you know deep down inside you're struggling with connecting with the meditation. So that would be my advice. Once you start feeling like you're connecting with the meditation, you start having things happen and things like that, then start bringing in little things and then over time, things will start to change. I can say this is after about 13 months of meditating. There have been so many things that have changed for me. Now, I can't really, I don't have like a story of overcoming a disease or something like that. But it's been so many little things that I can't really, it's not just one thing. It's a little bit of everything. I'm more certain. I'm more happy. I'm less stressed. I sleep better. I've got better people in my life. I'm more certain about where I'm going in my life, what direction I'm going. I'm more certain of who I am. I let go of a lot of garbage, and sometimes I just wake up and go, wow, man, things are really different. And I just didn't notice it. So it takes time with meditation. And so, anyway, I hope that sheds a little light on some people there. Let's see if there's some more. If anybody has any questions about me or my experiences or just about meditations, right now is a good time to ask. Let's see. My mother passed away from cancer and it traumatized me. I'm scared that doing this work, when thoughts of fear of getting cancer come, that I may be attracting this to me. That's a good question. Jen, I thought the same thing. I'll be honest. If you saw I dealt with my brother passing away with cancer. And as I talked about in one of my videos, I went in there into this, when I first really went, and I had this mystical experience, and I had this spiritual awakening, and all these things that were happening that I didn't know what they were at the time. My brother had passed away from cancer just several months earlier, prior to going to this event where I had this experience. And when I did, I kept going into these meditations, and all I could envision, the only thing that kept coming up was these visions or feelings of death. And as I was at this retreat, and this was Dr. Joe Dispenza's retreat, as I was there, he talks about how we're gonna program your mind, and so to me, I was going, oh shoot, if we're programming your mind, like, I don't want to program death or cancer into my mind. So I know what you're saying, but really what that is you probably need to go there and sit there and do that. You just don't want to do it. You don't want to sit there with those thoughts. And what you need to do is, by sitting there with those thoughts and not engaging with them and not wrestling with those thoughts and just being okay with it, because you don't have cancer. But what you're suffering from is previous traumas from your mom having cancer and passing away. And I'm only saying that because that happened to me. And it happened to my brother. My brother passed away from cancer. And I went through this. And I will say that when I connected with the spiritual awakening, and I had these experiences that I was just mentioning, it was one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my whole entire life. And I've done a lot of hard things. And I will put this in the top one of the hardest things that I've ever done. A lot of people say, man, that sounds like a beautiful experience. And I said, well, that's what you think. I mean, you didn't have to go and experience it. It was a tough thing. And, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It let all that stuff off my shoulders, and I realized that I'm not programming myself for cancer. I had not dealt with that trauma of dealing with my brother passing from having cancer, because it is a traumatic experience to watch a loved one die in slow motion like that. It's just not pleasant, and it's hard every day like that, especially my brother, especially anybody you love. So I have an idea of what you went through, and but don't let meditation stop you. You're not attracting that cancer. Really what it is that thing that you've been holding on to deep down inside you that you just haven't dealt with. And so sit there and start meditating. Once you let it go, you're going to feel so much better. I promise you. Just sit there. If it comes up, just don't engage with it. It's going to be scary. You're not going to like it. Like I said, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. Maybe your experience won't be like mine. But I do recommend that if you could get on that other side, it's going to be a lot better for you. And you're going to prove to yourself how much meditation is effective for you as well too. Jen's from Miami, Florida. I love Miami. I go down there all the time. All right. Kay says, what would you say by controlling the meditation you are resisting from anything happening? My main goal is to heal an autoimmune, but it's hard not to focus on that since that's what I would like to manifest. Yeah, like I said, I don't. One thing that I don't know how to overcome diseases. I don't really know how to do any of this stuff. I don't even know why you people are listening to me. But no, I'm sorry that you've got that autoimmune disease. I don't mean to take that lightly, but basically, there's not like a recipe for this stuff to happen. But what my observations have been is if you could spend time meditating and connecting with the meditation. And that means getting out of the way of yourself and spending time getting out of the way of yourself so your brain can connect and you can kind of reprogram yourself back to its original state. And maybe that will take care of the autoimmune. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm not an expert on, you do this and 2 + 2 = 4. And that means you don't have autoimmune disease anymore. But I do know that if you can sit there in those thoughts and not engage with them, don't wrestle with them, you're getting out of the way of yourself while you're connecting the cell phone up to the computer for the meditation to do the work that it needs to do. And I think that you'll probably see benefits in a lot of parts of your life, and I hope that it's for that autoimmune disease. A lot of people have gotten a lot of benefits from meditating. So I hope that answers your question, Kate. When I first started meditating, did I ever fall asleep? If yes, how did you know you fell asleep? Well, I guess I woke up. No, I did fall asleep. I still fall asleep sometimes. It is, I don't worry about it. I guess I was tired. I don't let that bother me. I don't let that hold me back. Like, see, I didn't meditate. Well, maybe I got in 15 minutes before I fell asleep. I mean, there's been times that I've meditated and I've gone so deep. And so a lot of times it's at these Dr. Joe retreats because I think there's so many people there. You go so deep, like I honestly could say I get out of the meditation. I feel like I was there I was present, just barely in the meditation. I couldn't tell you if I was asleep or if I was awake or not. Meditation is on that fine line of you're asleep and you're awake. But if you fall asleep, don't worry about it. I mean, don't stress out about it. Don't stress out about any of this stuff. The more you stress out about it, the harder it's going to be to sit down and do this. Again, like I talked about at the beginning of this video, that golfer that gets stressed out about he doesn't hit the golf ball this close to the hole. He hits it off in the woods, but yet he only plays 4 times a month. Now, I'm not insinuating that you, Donna or Dana, are only meditating 4 times a month. I'm just saying in general, focus on quit worrying about all the other things and just focus on just connecting with the meditation and focusing and getting out of the way of yourself. We listen to you because you're relatable. Well, thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. All right, so Flying High says, Tom, I think the idea is to focus on the version of yourself who doesn't have the disease. Yeah, easier said than done. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a strategy. Yes, I totally believe that too, and I left that part out, I guess. But yeah, if you want to try to believe and see yourself disease free, or yourself with the new girlfriend, or yourself and what your life would be with a bunch of money, or whatever your path that you're trying to get to. That is a thing. When I've manifested things, then in my life, and I've seen them, it is because I start kind of having these little daydreams within the meditations. And I don't know if it's right or not, but I start having these daydreams as if like I'm already there. in the future. And I'm starting to have these feelings inside of like, oh man, I'm there. I got my new girlfriend. I got all this money, and these things are happening. And I got a house so I'm just kind of giving an example. But yes, you want to start believing in yourself start thinking of yourself as the version that doesn't have the disease or whatever it is that you're trying to move on from. I fall asleep too. I find that I don't if my stomach is empty. Don't eat first. Yeah, I hear you, Sandy. Everybody's a little bit different. And that's what I've noticed. Everybody's meditations are different. Everybody's experiences are different. And just because someone mentions that, the breath work, you don't have to do the breath work in order to meditate. That's just a strategy. That's a strategy for Sandy that, don't eat before you meditate. I'm a believer in that too. I mean, it's tough to meditate when you got a full stomach. But there's a lot of different ways to go about doing this stuff. You just kind of have to try different things and see what works for you. It's not a recipe. 2 + 2 = 4. It's kind of this 3 + 1 = 4 for some people, and 2 + 2 = 4 for some people. And does anybody have any questions? Any more questions about anything? Be happy to try to answer them or go back and forth. Jen her goal is to go to Dr. Joe's week-long in Orlando or Marco Island. Can't wait. Just think you should probably just go ahead and do it. If anybody's thinking about going to those events, I highly recommend it. It's a week, but whatever. It's a great time. For so many reasons, it's good to go. Do you have to go? No, but if you did, things are going to be different. And can't tell you what would be different for you, but you should probably go to one of those events, I think. If you just figure out how to do it, just do it. Get a new credit card and just go. Do I have any issues sleeping at night? No, I used to have issues sleeping at night, if you're referring to that. I used to have terrible sleep, and I used to have a CPAP machine. The doctor said that I barely qualified for sleep apnea, but I had a CPAP machine, and after I started meditating, I sold all my CPAP machines. Now, I'm not saying that I overcame sleep apnea, but I really think that what happened was I was so stressed out and I didn't know it, like a frog in boiling water. I thought I was doing okay in life, but once I connected with this meditation and kind of had this spiritual awakening, I took off 150,000 pounds of weight off of my shoulders. And after that happened, I sleep 9 out of 10 nights are amazing, and 1 out of 10 are iffy. So things are going really good. I'm so grateful that I figured that out, because that was a big problem in my life, and it was affecting my whole daily life on a regular basis, and it wasn't fun at all. So anyway, yes. So I have less issues sleeping at night. Are you talking? Yeah, I have less issues sleeping at night now that I meditate. Just for me, that's what works. And I haven't stopped meditating to see if it'll go back. I don't know. So anyway, our last chance, if anybody has any questions. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to go over to a Zoom call. I can't do it here because they won't let me play any music on YouTube they'll shut it down. So Stephanie from Athens, Georgia. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, kind of out, not too far away from you, Stephanie. And so, but the sleep hasn't gotten better. Well, I don't know what the sleep. Jen says I haven't stopped meditating, but the sleep hasn't gotten better. I don't know what to tell you. Just for me, that's what worked. I didn't meditate thinking that I was going to sleep better. That's what kind of happened. But I promise, if you keep meditating, things will get better. And maybe if other things got better in your life, your sleep might in return get better. So it might be more of a long, drawn-out thing than a quick fix. Yoga before meditations helps me have better meditations. Also, Om chanting during meditations or meditating in sunlight both help my meditations. Are there any specific preparations you like? No, I don't have any specific preparations at all. And I'm kind of grateful for that, because now before I started meditating, I would get when I was frustrated with meditation, I would do all of these things. I had like a checklist, like I have to have this comfortable shirt on. It's got to fit right, and I got to have, my sandals on. I got to be sitting on the certain section of the couch, and the temperature. I got to have the AC turned on, right? All these things. But now, I don't let. Now, I'm not saying that what you're doing, Andrew, is wrong, but just for me, I don't care if there's loud noises outside, if there's people upstairs, if it's hot, if it's cold. I just deal with it, and I just get into the meditation, and that's part of why I tell people to kind of get over yourself. You don't have to have these things in order to meditate. You don't have to have a yoga mat. You don't have to have the Lululemon pants on in order to meditate. You could do it in your shorts and your jeans or whatever. So, but I do understand people want to be comfortable, and there are things that I probably do from time to time, but I don't have any like required things that have to happen. I will say that I've got a mask. I use a mask every time, and I like that. But I've done it without a mask. But that's probably the one thing that I consistently show up with. I like to have a mask to just cover my eyes. So, all right. So, laugh out loud. And nothing I do fall asleep, but do wake up multiple times at night. I had that same issue. I'd wake up multiple times at night. It wasn't fun. I'm sorry, Jen, but keep at it. I'm sure something will happen, because meditation, you will change. So is everybody ready to do a meditation? I'm going to try to flip this over. All right, Nico. I'm not going to say that out loud again. When I said that on a video, it got a lot of traction. A lot of people liked it. But anyway, you guys ready to start meditating? We're going to do a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation. And what I'm going to do is if you give me just a second, I'm going to go to Zoom. I'm going to set up a thing. I'm going to put in the comments a link to the Zoom call. Just click over there. And what we're going to do is just take like a 5-minute break so we can use the restroom. If you got any preparations you want to do, if you want to put on your Lululemon pants or your little yoga mat, whatever you want to do, and get those things ready so you can do it right, You got to make it right. And then we're going to do The Alchemist by Dr. Joe Dispenza's, one of his meditations. And I think it's exactly 1 hour. So, if you want to just come do part of it, come do part of it. If you want to just do half, I don't know, do whatever you want to. Or you just don't have to show up. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm going to do it, and I hope everybody comes over there. And I'm hoping that this is going to work out. I think it will just fine. So if you'll give me just a second, I'm going to get you a Zoom link here in just a moment.
Recording in progress.
All right, hold on. All right. Let me do this. Give me just a second. All right. Here we go. Participants. Copy invite link. All right. Here's the link. This should work. And if anybody wants to go over there and write a chat or something, tell me that it's working. So let's do it. We're about to meditate. So we're going to do it in about 5 minutes. I'll get it started. Can you follow by watching? You can just watch if you want to, Mountain Dew. You don't have to meditate. We do whatever you want to. But you might as well. All right, let's see. All right. Does that make sense? Does everybody have that link there? Let's see if... All right, Nico's in, so it worked for Nico. Yeah, it's a 60-minute meditation. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. All right. Does that make sense? Does everybody have that link there? All right, people are coming over, so it looks like it's working. Let's see if... All right, so I'm going to get up, use the restroom. So it worked for Nico. And I'll leave the live stream going for a minute so you guys can click the link over. Let me put it back in the chat again just in case it goes out of screen. That's the link there again. Check it out. Come over in about 5 minutes. We'll get started. And let's see here. Hey, thanks for tuning in on the YouTube. And I'll see you over on the Zoom call here in just a minute. I'll see y'all later.